Senior Roundtable started. So we have a 15th anniversary coming up in May of 2023. I always said it's been over 10 years, and then you know, we're actually past that. So so with that, Elder Source, and we've got several folks on here from Elder Source. If you will give us a wave, anybody on Elder Source that is here, they are fantastic. They are everything elder. If you don't know about something or you're trying to figure something out in that world of elder services, that is a great place, as it says there, start for help. They run the email distribution list. So if you've got somebody who you want to add an email, so they get the invites, etc. Elder Source takes care of all of that for us. And Andrea, I know she's registered. She hasn't joined us yet, but Andrea Spencer is behind the scenes. She does all of that work. She puts the pretty artwork on the invites. She does all this management behind. And if we have in-person meetings in the future, again, they would be at Elder Source. They have welcomed us since the beginning. That's where most of the meetings have been pre-COVID. And then this group was started and founded and still funded today by the Community Foundation. Janet Allen is our liaison with the Community Foundation. And I'm not sure if she'll be here today or not, but if you get a chance to meet Janet in one of the breakout rooms for networking, please absolutely make sure you know who she is and the great work that they do. So they started this 15 years ago, or almost 15 years ago, coming up, and it has been going strong ever since. And we're very, very appreciative for Elder Source and Community Foundation's support for all this. All right, so I don't know why my mouse is not working. So there we go. So the meeting will be recorded. If you want to come back and grab, gosh, they had great speakers. I can't remember what this one person said about such and such. You've got that recording. You'll get an email probably sometime next week. It will come from Andrea. That'll have any of the post-meeting things that we put in the chat box in that meeting, along with the link to the recording. So you can get to that anytime you want, or pass it on to a colleague who you think it would be valuable for them to have that information. So the Zoom ruler along the bottom, for those of us that are living on Zoom, we know this with our eyes closed. If you're not on Zoom a lot, if you'll click on the bottom, you'll see that Zoom ruler. And in the Zoom ruler, you will see what's called the chat. We will put information in that chat box as we go through today. We'll also ask if you have questions of any of our speakers to put that in the chat box. We'll make sure that we tackle that with the time that we've got here today. And then mute is down on that Zoom ruler, and it's also over your own video feed. So you have a couple places that you can mute and unmute. And if you have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself if it's something for me, etc. And again, there's a lot of times I'll be using that chat box today. So you've got access to that also. If you are willing to put your first and last name under your video, it is all about networking. Who's out there? Who are these folks? Gosh, I recognize that person's name. I've been on emails with them before, etc. And if you're not quite sure how to do that, if you hover over your own picture, you'll see 3 dots pop up. And on the 3 dots, when you click it, you're going to have a kind of a menu pop up, and there's going to be an option to rename. So you can include your first and last name there. And if you're up for it and you're willing to put your video on, please do so. It just helps with the head nods and the smiles. And I know the speakers appreciate it. I've had classes before of 20 people, and everybody for 2 hours has their video off, and you just feel at some point you really are all by yourself as a speaker. So it's nice for the speaker to get that feedback from you. They're giving us their time. We're so appreciative. So it's nice when it can be a little bit more engaging for them as well. So about Senior Roundtable, if you are newer, anybody here brand new, it's your first, I think maybe Gabrielle, anybody brand new, John, welcome. Anybody else I missed? Gabrielle, thank you. Okay. So Senior Roundtable is for anybody who is interested, as you can see there. If you're interested in seniors, or you have a loved one that's a senior, or you volunteer in that world, whatever that might be, we do meet every other month. We're still on Zoom. We're having the conversations kind of behind the scene with both Elder Source, Community Foundation, and some members to say, will people come? Does it make sense to go back in person? Do people just prefer it's easy 2 minutes before to drop in on a Zoom call, etc.? So we're working through that. And if there's an opportunity in the future, and if that's what the majority wants, we'll head back that way. It is open to everybody, no charge to attend. And the goal is network with others, grow your network, reconnect with folks that you haven't seen for a while, and hopefully add a couple new contacts to who does what in the Northeast Florida area, in this area of seniors. So today's program, again, you'll hear a lot more about that, but it's always focused on something that the behind the scenes group, there's several of them on here, and we'll talk about them a little bit later in the program. What is a great topic that would be helpful for others? And that's how all of this comes. And then who knows, somebody who's the right person to speak, let's reach out to them. So that's how it all happens behind the scenes. And you can see the mission statement. It is all about collaborative relationships. Who's out there? Who does what? what are their resources? How do we connect and work with each other to do everything we can for the elders in our life? Today's agenda, in just a second, you'll see an announcement request saying, hey, if you've got something, put it in the chat box. You'll see more about that in just a couple seconds. Meeting sponsor will be telling us they've got 3 minutes on the clock for being our sponsor today. We really appreciate that. And Michelle is representing Millennium Physician Group, and she'll be telling us more about their organization. You'll have a couple opportunities to network with others in breakout rooms as we get started, and then we'll move into our program, the home repair programs for seniors, with our awesome speakers that we're, again, very grateful that they're willing to give of their time for this. And then we wrap up. If you are still here at the end of the meeting, Michelle, as meeting sponsor, gives us 2 $25 Amazon gift cards, and we give those away at the end of the meeting. You do have to be present to win, and then those will be emailed to that person from Michelle sometime in the next few days. So that is where we are going with today's meeting. And for organizational announcements, in that chat box, and again, if you're newer to Zoom or not living on Zoom all the time, it's on that Zoom ruler at the bottom. But if you have an event coming up or something that you want somebody to collaborate with you on, etc., put that in that chat box. And that is a great way, while the meeting is going on, that we can communicate with each other on some of these other things. So please feel free to do that. We asked another group to join us today. I want to say it was the builders. I gotta go back to the emails if I can during it. And she says, I can't, we're building 17 wheelchair ramps in the next 20 days. And
sure.
I'm building, wheelchair ramps today. So unfortunately I can't come and speak at the meeting. So, that would have been awesome if she could have come. We could have put that in there for her if they needed volunteers and things like that. So if you've got any of those kinds of initiatives, and I did ask her, I said, if you've got anything that you want me to include when we send out the post meeting, send it to us, even just about the organization or what their volunteer needs are. So feel free to put that in there. You can see Eileen has started us off. Eileen, thank you so much. That she's got some information in there. Put the contact, how does somebody find what it is that you're trying to let them know about, and that'll continue throughout the meeting today. We also have a LinkedIn group. So if you are on LinkedIn, even if you're not really active, it is a good opportunity if you say, I remember that really nice person from JEA, and Elizabeth, you can give us a shout there. And I can't remember what her last name was. You can look in that LinkedIn group and you can find folks who attended these meetings. I think we've got maybe over 200 people in the LinkedIn group. And that's one of the purposes of that is, if you're part of that group, you can get to that person in a positive way, not a weird stalkerish way, but you can get to that person and find them on LinkedIn and connect with them and continue the networking after the meeting is over. So with that, our sponsor today, Michelle, representing Millennium Physician Group. Michelle, you've got 3 minutes on the clock. I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, I'm starting it right now. I might not need it, but you never know. Hey, everyone. I know some of you, thanks for being here today. I'm Michelle McCormick. I'm the Regional Marketing and Public Relations Manager for Millennium Physician Group here in Northeast Florida. I cover Baker, Clay, Duval, Nassau, St. John's. I also cover Alachua, Marion, and Okaloosa counties. With all these counties comes tremendous growth. When I first started with Millennium in 2019, we had 10 offices. And now we have 35. So Laura, I can share my screen. Yeah. All right. Actually, you know what? Let's not. You have, I gave you the file. Yeah. If you just pop that up, that'd be great. What she's going to show you is a list of all of our offices and where we're located. And we have primary care offices throughout the counties. And we cater to all patients. So we're not just a 65 and over company. We are all patients. A lot of our family medicine doctors like to see the patient 5 and over. Some will do sports physicals, but we really like to cater to the caregiver as well. So that person that's coming in with their loved one also needs their health checked. But for now, our over 65 patients, we are offering senior slots, meaning if you're 65 and over and you have someone who needs to be seen by a physician right now, right there today, regardless of what office it is, we do have an opportunity for that to see that patient. They don't have to be a patient. They can be established as a new patient with us. We take most major insurance, Medicare, Medicare Advantage. Another thing is we have an endocrinologist. She is on staff at our Bay Meadows Road office, and this is one specialist that's very difficult to get into. So her name is Dr. Arpita Gupta, and she is fantastic. This year's been kind of interesting though. We've added several physicians and their care teams from Ascension, and we've also added several physicians and care teams from UF Health. So what's happening is we are an independent physician group. We're not affiliated with any of the hospital systems, but we do refer back to whichever referral partner that you would like to see for your specialty care. But it's kind of nice. These doctors are able to spend time with the patient. They're not being held to any hospital system per se to keep within that network. But that's kind of one of the benefits of a Millennium patient. Another thing is I do a weekly radio show. It airs on WOKV on Saturdays at 5 p.m. It's called Medicare Connect Radio, and I record it during the week. And it is a great opportunity to talk about current, relevant healthcare issues that are important to you. I'm going to put my information in the chat box. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys all being here today. Time up.
Michelle, thank you so much. And you can see our Zoom producer today is Sarah. Behind the scenes, Sarah has put in the chat box the flyer from Michelle. We will also include that in the post-meeting email going out next week, so you'll have it there as well. But you should be able to, for most folks, that they've got the Zoom, one of the latest versions of Zoom, you should be able to click on that and download it if you want to grab it off the chat box. And then, Michelle, thank you for also putting in the information about the radio show, et cetera. That's exactly how we love seeing the chat box used. What do people need to know? How do they do that? Where do they find it? Who should they contact? What website might it be? Any of those kinds of things, please feel free again throughout the meeting today.
Yeah, and I might have to leave early, but please, Laura, send me the email addresses of the folks who win, because I definitely want to get those out by maybe later this afternoon.
Excellent. Michelle, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So heading into our networking opportunity, and really grateful anytime someone is willing to share and speak. And today, so thankful for Heartfelt Ministries, City of Jacksonville, and St. John's Housing Partnership. We're going to ask each one of them to share, first of all, what is their organization? Please introduce yourself any way that you want to, of what you do and your role and all those kinds of things. And then anything that you think would be helpful for folks to know underneath this title of Home Repair Programs for Seniors. So each speaker will have 15 minutes. If you have questions for the speakers, I got the chat box moved in front of me. Please feel free to put that in the chat box. And if that person still has some time left when their time is wrapping up, we'll ask them right then. And if not, we'll move to that second speaker and then the third speaker, and then we'll catch all the questions at the end and make sure that we can do that as many as we possibly can if we've got some multiple questions in there to get you the information that you are looking for. So with that, Kelly, I can stop sharing my screen and you can either share something if you want to, or we will just look at everyone's lovely faces and we'll go from there. So Kelly, welcome. Thank you for being willing to speak today. Very appreciated. And Kelly, you're on mute. You're probably still hitting that button for mute, but I can see your Heartfelt Ministries screen, so that's awesome. And then still showing you as muted.
There we go. I'm unmuted.
Perfect.
All right. So what I'm trying to do is get back up to my presentation will not load. Don't you love that? See, yes. Technology. So I'm Kelly Moorman Coggins, and I am the President and Executive Director of Heartfelt Ministries. Heartfelt will celebrate 20 years of existence next year, and we are really proud of that. When I started with Heartfelt back in 2014, we had just under 200 active clients. As of yesterday, we crossed over 800 active clients. And our whole mission is to serve the seniors in our community, and we want to make sure they can all age in place. So our vision statement is a community in which all seniors have access to the resources they need to age in place. And our mission statement is to honor God by enriching the lives of seniors and enabling them to age in place with dignity and grace. Heartfelt is a relatively small organization staff-wise. We have 5 staff members. We have 3 independent contractors who drive for us. We have a transportation program, but we use community volunteers and vendors to serve a lot of our clients' needs. We have over 215 active volunteers on an annual basis. And our programs consist of The very first one is companionship. It's the core of everything we do. So we have volunteers who go in the homes, help with friendly visits, grocery shopping, light housekeeping. We do yard projects. We provide respite care for a caregiver. And the next program is fall prevention. So within that, we build wheelchair ramps, install grab bars, we install outside railings. On average, we build 24 wheelchair ramps a year. The other program is the Hart Fund. Through the Hart Fund, we do minor home repairs and emergency financial assistance. I'll talk more about minor home repairs in just a second. But the emergency financial assistance will help a senior with paying a mortgage, rent, a JEA bill, also buying an appliance, a washer, dryer, refrigerator, and it's intended to be a bridge. We do not offer a monthly stipend. It is just to help them through a challenging time. And then our transportation program started in 2016, and we have 3 vans and 3 drivers. We're trying to grow that each year. And what they do is they take a senior, help them get to a doctor's appointment, pick up prescriptions, and get groceries. And the really cool thing about our transportation program is that our drivers stay with the senior the whole time. So they pick them up at their house, take them to the doctors, and stay with them through the visit, and then get them home safely. Minor home repairs. Wow. I don't even know where to start because it is such a huge problem for our seniors. As you all know, dealing with the senior community, they want to stay in their homes, but most of them do not have the means to do any repairs, let alone in this day and age, make ends meet. So it's really challenging for them. And a lot of times it's something as simple as, you know, the toilet backs up and they can't afford to call a plumber. So we have a group of licensed contractors that we work with. We vet them. They have to sign a liability release so that we can tell the senior that we've protected them when we send a contractor in their home. And to date, we've helped 61 seniors and we've spent over $50,000 in just home repairs this year. So we do everything from plumbing, helping if there's a leak. So say they get a high JEA bill, JEA goes out and identifies that there's been a leak, we can send out the plumber, fix the leak, and oftentimes help them with a JEA bill, as well as HVAC. As you know, that's a huge issue here in Florida where it's hot. Living in a hot house for a senior who has a respiratory illness or any kind of an illness is really challenging. And we have an HVAC partner that will go out and work with us. And we always try and get work with the contractors to get a senior citizen discount, as well as we work directly with Goodman to get a reduced rate on the equipment if we have to replace a unit for a senior. We don't do roof replacements because they're cost prohibitive, but we do have a contractor who will do roof repairs. So we also partner with a lot of other agencies in Jacksonville. We've been working with Elder Source. In fact, I know Sherry's in here. Hi, Sherry, sweetie. We have been working with Elder Source since 2017, partnering on larger projects. And it works out great for us because where one of us has a smaller budget, or you know, if say one of us is running low on funds, which happens often, we can partner together, and obviously more hands can do more to help the seniors. We also work very closely with Builders Care, which is the Northeast Florida charity arm. I know, Laura, you were mentioning that you had talked to them earlier. They are building ramps. In fact, they're building 2 for our seniors in the next month. So I know they're super busy right now, but they will help us if we run into a strange situation where, you know, like the roof, for example. We had 2 roofing contractors and they basically quit and said, we have too much work, we can't work with you anymore. So they've helped us get roofing contractors who will go out, and again, those are just repairs, not replacements. To qualify for heartfelt services, a senior must be 70 or older, have a disability or an illness, and then all of our services are free. We do have an income level that we require so that there's a household threshold that they must meet. They have to fill out certain paperwork to qualify. They have to have proof of residency in Florida. And again, most of them can prove the need. The average income for our clients is less than $1,000 a month. So you can imagine, you know, they have a leak that they don't even know about. They get this JEA bill. It's very, very disconcerting, and it's a heavy burden for them to carry. So that's where we step in and we can help them. We started doing the home repairs in 2016. And we didn't have the funding before that. And thankfully, we were able to develop a great relationship with a funder who believes in this program and has supported it every year. So I'm very grateful that we're able to continue. And so far this year, through the Hart Fund, not just home repairs, we've already helped 217 people. So that's a huge program for us. A couple of stories I'd like to share quickly, because I think the stories really tell, how we make a difference. Miss Lucille, bless her heart, I wish you all could meet this woman. She is just a rock. She has had stage 4 colon cancer for 3 years. And she just is a fighter. And her husband called and their hot water heater went out. And he said, the thing that makes her feel really good is to be able to take a hot shower. So our plumber was able to get out there, fix the hot water heater, and you can see what his comment was. It made a huge difference that we're able to take showers, clean the dishes, and everything else that goes along with having hot water. And, things that we take for granted. Mr. Herbert called, and this was in January when it was actually chilly for us, and their heat went out, and, they were really cold. So we were able to get the HVAC contractor out there, and, and his comment was so cute. I didn't have to worry about it. It just flips right over to cooling and works perfectly. So like I said, the stories really do tell everything that we do. And we're really, really grateful that we're here, that we have the funding to be able to help the seniors that come to us. I was telling Laura, this year has just been absolutely crazy. Things changed a lot for all of us during COVID. But for us this year, it's not as much COVID, it's just the sheer volume. We average now 38 calls a day for help. And, unfortunately, we can't help everybody. Either they don't meet the threshold. And if, honestly, we're a bridge. So if we can't identify the fact that, we can't enable them to have a continuing problem. So if it's something we can't help with, we always try and refer to another agency. There are some things we don't do, like finding housing. So we'll work with Changing Homelessness to help find housing. So we just try and really partner with other agencies in the area so that we always try and provide a solution to our seniors. And that's all I have. I was trying to be timely.
Oh, so Kelly, you did really well. You actually still have 6 whole minutes to go. So I've got a couple questions, and then if anybody else has questions, toss them in that chat box and we'll get those to Kelly before she slides out of the speaker role. So how long is there a wait list? Is there a long wait? Does it happen pretty quickly? What does that look like?
Yeah, it really depends on what the need is. So like, for instance, yesterday we had a senior, she's had fallen, she broke her hip, and she needs an ADA compliant toilet, something that we think is really simple. And so we have our plumber is going out there today, and she called yesterday. So it just depends on what the need is as far as, the home repair, how fast we can get somebody out there. So we can turn it around pretty quickly. We have a 24-hour return call. So, we try and get right on it. It's how fast they can get the paperwork back to us. That's usually the biggest challenge, because most of them are not, tech savvy. So a lot of it has to go through the mail. So that does create a little bit of a snowball there, but we will accept them paperwork if they want to drop it off in our office if there's an emergency. But we always tell them we're not 911, and that's the one thing we have to be very careful with. So they'll call us and they'll say, my power is going to be turned off tomorrow. And we'll say, have you called JEA? Have you tried to work out a payment plan with them before they turn the power off? No, we called you. No, you need to call JEA. So, we try and help them expedite whatever the issue as quickly as possible.
And then a second question, are the services for home repair, are there some caveats to that? So if someone lives with a family member and it's that house, but the family member is not over 70, et cetera, is this only for, just to kind of set the parameters, is the repair program for somebody that's living like on their own, or elderly folks, or is it other circumstances would also possibly qualify them for the repairs? Yeah,
that's a really good question. The majority of them do live alone, surprisingly, but we do have some where they have, either moved in with a family member, and then we require the income of the household, and they have to qualify in that regard. And we have to prove that the need is for the senior. And for instance, in order for us to pay a bill, it has to be in the senior's name. So say the senior is living with their son, but the house and any bills are in that son's name, we can't pay those bills. It has to be in the senior's name.
Excellent. And so let me just open it up. Any questions? Still got a couple of minutes for Kelly. Anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? Just unmute yourself and ask away. Let me just give you a few seconds in case anybody's trying to find their mute button. Okay. And then Kelly, if you have any information you would like us to send folks afterwards, of even contact information, a flyer, anything like that, we'd be very happy to make sure that that gets out to folks. So good question from John in the chat box. Any geographical limits on Heartfelt's work?
Very good question. So we are primarily in Duval, but we do serve Clay and Northern St. John's. So we'll go down to the St. Augustine area, but 85% of our clients live in the Duval County area.
Okay. And then I heard, you guys are doing some wheelchair ramps, your transportation, always looking to add more vans and things like that. If you could put a plug out there, what kind of volunteers are you looking for in case somebody here knows of someone who's like, I've got way too much time on my hands. I need to look for a good place to spend my time. What were you guys looking for and what do you need?
We are always looking for volunteers. If there's somebody who's handy, you think about a senior living in their own home, something as simple as changing a light bulb is really dangerous for them. We always say, please don't get up on a chair. Please don't get up on a stool. Call us. We'll send somebody out to do that for you. So anybody who's handy, we love handymen who can just fix a loose board on a deck, something simple like that, as well as companionship. We have a shortage of volunteers in the Mandarin area right now for whatever reason. That has been an area where we've been just struggling this year. We have had a lot of clients come in Mandarin. So we need volunteers in that area who are willing to go into the homes to do these companionship, light housekeeping, maybe some grocery shopping. And we have a phone buddy system. So we always have a need for people, say you don't want to leave your house, you're not comfortable going into someone else's home. You can join us and be part of our phone buddy. And we have a program where we have a group of volunteers check in on the seniors, primarily those who live alone and those who don't have a one-on-one volunteer, so that we can make sure that we're just trying to touch as many people as possible and making sure that they know that they're not forgotten.
Excellent. And a couple quick questions. Does there have to be a safety issue or any repairs? Does it have to be
to qualify for our services?
I'm thinking so.
No.
Gloria, if you want to come off mute and explain what you're asking, if I'm not saying it correctly, but
yes, Kelly. Hi, sorry. Yes, Kelly. I was wondering, does it have to be a safety issue that you're repairing in the home that will cause an injury to the senior, or is it any home repairs? Any
home repair that qualifies for our services. So, that's why I said it can be anything from HVAC to plumbing to electrical. We have an electrical contract as well. So yeah, it really runs the gamut. The repairs are all over the place.
Okay, thank you.
And then a very important question, do you still have the gala event?
COVID really changed everything, right? So we had the gala. The last year was 2019. And then in fall of 21, obviously nobody did anything in 20. We decided we were going to do a smaller venue. So we started what's called the Soiree at Sawgrass. It's still at TPC Sawgrass. And we did a scaled down event, and it went over so well because it was shorter. It was 2 hours instead of 4 hours. Everybody loved it. It was a lot more casual. So we've done that the last 2 years, and it has gone over really, really, really well. So we are continuing in that. We just had it in October, so we're excited about that. And then the last thing I do want to put a plug in is we have a Christmas program, and our goal every year is to touch every active senior at Christmas time. So we send them a gift card to Walmart or to Publix. It's their choice. And we have volunteers right now calling them all and asking them where they want the gift card to, but we gladly accept donations for that program. They're $25 gift cards, and it makes a huge difference to our seniors who are on these very, very tight budgets. Last year, one of our seniors called us and said, "Thank you so much for the gift card. I was able to buy my own paper products this month. I didn't have to ask my daughter for help." So if anybody wants to donate to that program, you can go on our website at heartfelt.org. Our Christmas program's on there. And again, we're really proud of that program because it does make a difference. And our seniors know that they're not forgotten during the holidays.
And then Kelly, is there an age restriction on volunteers?
18 or older.
Okay.
But if you have a child that wants to volunteer and the parent is willing to volunteer with them, we do have families who volunteer, especially like for yard projects and that type of stuff.
Okay. And then Gloria said, can you send a list of your vetted contractors? So I'll let you respond to that in the chat box of what that response would be to that and how that can be managed. So round of applause for our presentation from Heartfelt. Thank you so much, Kelly, for everything. And please feel free, if you think of anything else, Kelly, that would be great for everybody to know, put it right in the chat box. And if anybody has questions, again, and we need to get back to Kelly towards the end, if we've got a little bit more time, we'll swing back around and make sure Kelly gets to that. And then Kelly, if you see questions in there that are still to you, feel free to answer them while the presentations are going on.
Great,
Excellent.
thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We are going to move on to Tina. Tina, welcome. And again, if you'll introduce yourself, where do you work? What do you guys do? All of those things, and you've got the floor.
Hi, I'm Tina Griffith. I'm the Affordable Housing Assistant Administrator with the City of Jacksonville. So we run for the city all of the home repair programs. So our only requirements for that is that you're a homeowner, that they own the home, they've lived there for at least 2 years. It is an income-based program. So we go by HUD's annual income, 80% or less the median area income, which most all of our seniors meet that. So, and then we can do a ton of different things. We have no wait list right now for our utility tap-in program. So that one works with all of our like septic tanks that might be having issues, or they would like to, they have the option to, they'd like to tap into the city water and sewer, any well issues, things like that we work with. We also do any plumbing if you don't have the option to tap into the city. Then we can replace your septic tank if needed, drain fields, all that. We also do galvanized pipe, repiping, all of those things. We also under that program do a lot with our seniors if they do not have a walk-in shower, then we can redo their bathroom to do walk-in showers for them and remove their bathtub for safety issues, put safety bars in, ADA bath toilets, things along those lines under the utility tap-in program. We have the emergency repair program. That one deals with more like, it's a quicker process because they don't have to go through procurement. And so that does like our hot water, AC, heat, things along those lines. Ramps, we do a lot of ramps as well for people. So then the biggest news is our limited repair program. The wait list for that has been closed since 2018. Why we worked down 1,000 something people. So we actually just opened it again on Tuesday. So people, if you know anyone needing home repairs, such as like doors and windows and roofs and things like that, have them give us a call to put their name on the wait list. We are going to close it at 500 this time. So the sooner the better, if you know of anyone. But yeah, we've been getting around 120 calls a day right now to get on the wait list. So we expect it to be closed by the end of next week. Yeah.
What number should they call, Tina?
If they're wanting to get on the limited repair, they need to call Sarah, and her number is 255. Let me make sure I get her the right.
You can just put in the chat when you get a moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
8229, but I'll add it to the chat.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll be also including our flyers for all three of the programs, and they're also available on our website. So we also do the down payment assistance for first-time home buyers, and surprisingly, we have a lot of seniors that participate in that program. So we can do now, it used to be $15,000 was the max you could receive. Now it's $50,000. And it's basically however much up to $50,000 they need in order to get their payment to what HUD considers affordable, which is 30% of their income. Then we can give you up to that amount. So that's been a really great get some people being first-time home buyers, you know, even in their late 60s and stuff. So that's been really, really great. So and luckily we also changed it that they can now use that money to buy down points, which is something they couldn't do before April. So now with the interest rates going so high, but the housing market, like the properties are getting cheaper, still way too expensive, but cheap, but more. So as that goes down, we aren't as concerned about the interest rate, because that's something we can do with that $50,000 is buy down your interest rate so that you don't have to be at 7%. So the two of those things together really blew up the program this year, and we probably get 10 applications a day. That one though is different in that we can actually go up to 120% of the median income because we use state funding for that one. So, yeah. So those are our repairs, and we're also working right now with a lot of our community development partners for creating affordable housing. We have 5 applications in now for different projects that people are wanting to do to create affordable housing, and some of them are specific just to seniors. So as those get awarded and we approve different projects, you can find those on our website as well.
Excellent. And then Tina, just using some of the questions that came in for Kelly, same thing geographically, are these
Duval
services?
County, it has to be in Duval County. So we do Baldwin and all that as well.
And then income, you mentioned some of them, but was like even like repair program, is there,
All of the repair programs are HUD Part 5 annual income. So for instance, right now, it usually changes in April. For right now, it's 46,850 for a single person, 53,550 for 2, and it goes up as you there. Our H2H program though is state funded, so that one we get to go up to 120% on. So that the one person, a single person, can make up to $70,320 and still qualify.
And then do they have to be living alone? Is it the same again? Could they be living with family that they moved in with?
So the applicant, whoever applies for the program, has to be the homeowner.
Okay.
The property has to be in their name. They can have as many people as like living with them as long as the property's in their name.
Okay.
Yeah. And they have to be current on their mortgage and their property taxes as well.
And then Tina, a good question coming in from Sherry in the chat box. So happy to hear about your programs. Are you able to collaborate with other agencies for home repairs?
Yeah, we would love to. We're really struggling right now with certain people being over income or us not being able to get to them in time, especially the limited repair program with people needing roof repairs, things along that line. So we would love anyone that would like for us to refer people out to you that might could help faster, or we would love it. And y'all can send as many people as you can to us as well. Yeah. And if you know of any contractors, that's our biggest thing is we have so much influx of money this year and so many people needing assistance. The only thing really keeping us held back right now is that we just don't have enough contractors to do the work. So if you know of anyone, give them my phone number and I'll love to call them.
And then Kelly asked, what is the wait list for the walk-in shower conversion?
No wait list. We do that as long as they can prove disability, whether if they're on disability, we can do it that way. If not, then there's a form their doctor can fill out stating that they're disabled or they need it for safety reasons, and we put them under utility tap-in program, and there's no wait list for that. Yeah.
Excellent. So let me give anybody that still has a question. Carrie asked about condos.
We do condos. The only thing we do not do is mobile homes. Okay. But if you own your condo, we can do your condo. And there's certain things like we can't do things that like revolve around the whole entire structure itself. That would be done more under our revolving loan funds from a contractor or a community development agency. But if they own their condo, we can do their windows depending on their HOH and how that works. But yeah, AC units, we do that a lot. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, let me make sure I haven't missed anybody's questions. Tina has used her time very quickly, so she still has a couple minutes. Is anybody? Sherry's asking for your email if you're willing to at some point putting that in there, and your phone number, and if there's a website that you want to direct folks to, please share that.
I'll put all that in the chat.
And then Tina did send us her flyers, so Sarah will be putting those in the chat box. So Sarah, whenever you're ready, go ahead and toss those in if you will. And we've got good information from Tina. And again, we'll include that in that post-meeting email. If that's hard for you to get out of the chat box or just too many steps for you to grab it, we'll make sure that it's in that post-meeting email. So you've got that as well there. So excellent job. Again, let me just pause in case anybody's still typing and has a question or wants to unmute for Tina before she is let off the hook for today. All right. Round of applause, Tina. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Thank you. Very
I'm gonna
appreciate
have to
it.
jump off here in a minute though, so y'all have a great day.
Got it. Thank you, Tina. And moving on to Bill. Welcome, Bill. Great to see you. You're right in the middle of my screen. Perfect timing on that. I look right ahead and there's that smiling face at me. So Bill, again, if you'll introduce, who are you? What do you do? What's your organization? Topic, senior repair. We'll take anything you can share with us. And if you got a few minutes left, if there's other things you want to toss in there, it never hurts us to hear that also.
Can I figure out how to share a PowerPoint just to make it a little bit less boring than looking at me?
Yeah, you should be able to share it. There should be a share at the bottom of your screen, and we've got it set up so participants can share whatever they would like to also. And you should be able to hit the share and then pick what you want to have displayed.
All right, so let me see if I can get it to work. How's that work? Okay.
We don't see it quite yet.
Uh-oh. Anything?
No?
Swap presenter view and slideshow duplicate.
And then while Bill's getting set up, you can see the flyers are in there. Elizabeth made a comment about the COJ repair program flyers on the website. So you've got that too. And so there's 3 flyers in there from COJ. You can see it's LRP, ERP, and then UTIP. So 3 different flyers in there. If you want to grab those, or if you're able to grab those, do so. And then of course, Michelle's was in there as well. So, and Bill, I don't know how quickly, if you wanted to send me the presentation, I can try to share it for you. I wish that's the one thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me just get out of it. I have no idea. Technology is not always my friend. Let's see if that works.
Oh, we see something happening. We see something happening there. You got it.
Does that work?
It does. Yes. And if you want to go up to the slideshow view, then you will only see the one slide you want us to see. Go from, yep, you got it from the beginning.
How's that? Okay.
Perfect. You
All
got
right. Sorry about that. Me and technology. I'm Bill Lazar with the St. John's Housing Partnership. We're a private nonprofit that works mostly in St. John's County, but we partner with local governments wherever we can. In St. John's and Clay, we manage a weatherization program in addition to our home repairs. And in Clay and in Putnam, for the SHIP programs, we're a participating contractor where we bid on just doing the rehab that the government programs put out over there. I'm a licensed contractor, so we're essentially a nonprofit construction company. We started here in St. John's about 25 years ago. Our primary business activity has always been improving substandard housing. I got my start in Duval County working on that back in 1988. And we try and do a blend of whether it's emergency repairs, major rehab, whatever someone needs. If we can find funding to do it, we try and help. We're also building homes for first-time home buyers. Our homes are green certified homes, and most of that we're just building here in St. Augustine. We were a HUD certified counseling agency. We're not doing a lot of the HUD certified foreclosure work anymore. We still do some basic family budgeting and some first-time home buyer counseling just to prepare people to buy our homes. And then we're a nonprofit landlord. We own about 70 scattered site rental properties around mostly St. John's and about a dozen or so in Clay. We started building our own rental property about 3 years ago, simply because there's not enough of it and we couldn't find fixer-uppers to buy. And we kind of use whatever funds we can. Most of it right now, we're just buying and building with commercial loans. We haven't got any government programs that really help us with that a whole lot. Let's see if I can go. So everybody's familiar with affordable housing. Essentially, the goal is always to try and get it around 30% of someone's gross income, which is easy to do if you're at the top end of the income guidelines at 80 or 120%. When you're dealing with folks like a lot of our seniors who are living on less than $1,000 a month, it's a real challenge. So we've grown into working in both the rental and the home ownership arenas just because it's a need and we just wanted to be involved in it. This is something that we just try and use whenever we talk to people. I think housing matters to everybody, whether that's funded adequately or not. For the last 35 years, I'd say it really hasn't been. So I don't think the powers that be take it that seriously yet. Y'all see these numbers all the time. You know, if we could fix up people's home and keep them living safely and independently, it'd save everybody a lot of money. But for the most part, you know, funding operates in silos. This is kind of some of the alphabet soup of affordable housing programs. And for the most part, whoever's got funding wants to work with their own rules. They, as much as they all talk about leveraging and blending, it's always, well, if you'll come over to my side and do it the way I want, I'll be able to help you. The housing partnership here in St. John's, we manage the SHIP work, we manage the weatherization work, we participate in the CDBG program, we work with the Council on Aging and Elder Source whenever there are funds for seniors. We periodically try and work with the VA rehab program if we can ever figure out how to get a little bit of funding from United Way. And then we just look for public and private partnerships wherever we can, and at whatever level of interest those funders are, because, you know, as we all are very aware, funders kind of change their focus from year to year. The housing challenges all remain the same, but sometimes someone wants to focus on one thing or another. Accessibility has always been a big focus for us, simply because most of the people we help are seniors. Most of them are over 70. Most of them want to remain living independently where they are in their own homes, and trying to figure out how to make those repairs is always the biggest challenge. You know, what I find most interesting about it is really to do any kind of accessibility properly, you need an OT person who can tell you how that individual really lives in their house. You need a contractor to do it, and you need a social worker to help you sort of navigate some of the programs. And generally speaking, no program wants to pay for all three of those folks to be there at the same time. So you've always got one or two of those entities that try and pretend that they know what the other one who's not there wants to do. And sometimes it works. We had a great partnership with the University of St. Augustine. They have an OT program there. And we brought them out to one of our houses that we had just gutted a bedroom, turned it into a bathroom and a walk-in shower. And we're very proud of how we done it. And the instructor's looking at it and talking to the elderly woman who is going to be using it. And she said, Bill, this looks perfect. Y'all did exactly right, except for if you had flipped it 180 degrees, the lady's strong side could work better in the bathroom. We had more than enough room to do it. We just didn't have that OT perspective about where they need. The simplest way I always look at is even when it comes to something like putting in a grab bar. You've really got to make someone almost sit on the toilet or climb in and out of the shower to figure out where they are. And men are the worst when it comes to telling you what they need. No, I'm strong, I can do it, I don't need it. It's like, you know, moving that grab bar 4 or 5 inches in the right direction means that they'll either use it or it'll be a towel rack. So there's a lot, you know, universal design. When you get into government programs or you have people who say we're going to meet ADA standards, that's very different from just saying I'm trying to do some aging in place measures here to help somebody out. These are some of the things that, you know, we've worked on in the past, trying to just gut a bathroom. We almost any rehab that we go into, if we're doing $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of work, if anybody in the house is over 50 and we're working in the bathroom, we always suggest, can we just gut this and put in a walk-in shower? You don't use the tub, why have a tub? On the new homes that we're building, I put a walk-in shower in every single one of our houses, at least in one of the bathrooms, simply because most of our folks, if they buy a home, they may end up aging in place there. So why make it hard for them to have a tub? I know everybody says, oh, I'd like a garden tub, I'd like this, but in the long run, I think building in independent access makes a big difference for folks. So these are just, you know, wheelchair ramps. We build probably 50 or 60 a year. It's become a real challenge with the rise in lumber prices. We built a ramp the other day. The lumber alone was $4,500. So we'll use volunteers to cut the cost down, but it still is a huge expense these days. There's one. I started to update this. I had done this about a year ago, and I'm almost at the point I don't care about updating it because we're still not addressing the need. It's only gotten worse in terms of the number of households, the number of people that need help. This is, just across Northeast Florida from the Regional Planning Council. But, you start looking at it and you realize that when people spend more than 50% of their income on housing at almost any level under $50,000 a year, they're one step away from falling apart. The big challenge in St. Johns County and otherwhere are all these real estate investors that are scooping up rental property. They're buying up single family homes and starter home lots and building rental housing over here, and then starting out at $1,800 a month. It's creating huge housing crisis issues that nobody's really addressed yet. This was just some of the statistics that we pulled up about a year ago. When you start looking at some of these and you realize, when I look at a senior that's spending more than 50% of their income on housing, that's my next pool of home repair folks, because they don't have money to pay to fix anything. Florida's big challenge is going to be if the insurance industry is allowed to get away with saying, we want you to replace your roof after 10 years, because we're going to have hundreds of thousands of seniors across the state that are going to be told, you got to replace your roof, which is going to cost you $10,000. There may or may not be any help. And if you don't do it, then you're going to lose your insurance. And if they've got a mortgage, then the bank is going to say, well, we'll give you forced place insurance, which the bank makes money off of, and protects nothing in the house except for the bank's investment. So if that goes through at the state level, it's going to be a huge challenge. I really don't know what people will do other than trying to create even more programs to help people. We're all just looking at housing challenges that are growing. Interest rates are going up. The Fed is not helping at all. My life can't figure out what they're talking about by trying to help people by raising interest rates. Material prices, we have a shortage of workers. Everybody said, we have lots of folks who need help. You can't hire enough contractors, and we're paying the price for not having invested in VOTEC programs for the last 30 years. And the biggest plague hitting all of our communities are these build for rent investors who have absolutely nothing to do with affordable housing, have nothing to do with building community. They're just out there building something that is an investment widget that at some point they're going to dump, and then the community will pay the price for having to deal with that property that they've left. So the housing partnership is trying to figure out a variety of ways for us to be involved. When we rehab something, we always look at energy and water conservation. We'll always use a blower door to try and figure out what are the real problems in a house. When you make a house more energy efficient, if you do it properly, you not only lower the water bill, but you improve the indoor air quality. For a lot of our folks who have respiratory issues or any kind of frail health, keeping mold and mildew out of the house is a huge difference. But you've got to be able to test and say, I know that the ducts don't leak. Everybody wants new windows, but I rarely replace them with a rehab program simply because there's so much more important stuff to do. If the window keeps out the hot and cold air, it's serving its purpose. It may look a lot nicer to replace it, but I'd much rather replace the ductwork and the HVAC in that system's house and get the air quality in the home up. Accessibility is always going to be a challenge. I mean, more and more people are moving to Florida. More and more of our long-term residents are aging in place now. And now we've got the added issues of preparing for hurricanes. We no longer have, in my opinion, 100 and 500-year events. It's every year. We all got lucky with Ian. Southwest Florida obviously didn't. There's 4,000 claims from FEMA in St. Johns County for Ian. So there's at least 4,000 people that felt like they didn't dodge the bullet. But as we talk about making homes more resilient, new homes, it's easier to do. It also pushes the price up, which makes it less affordable. Rarely do people talk about resiliency for our existing homes. And that's where most of our low-income neighborhoods, where most of our seniors live, those are the ones that are really challenged because the resiliency efforts generally don't really focus enough on how do you protect those communities from future storms. I mean, they're still dealing with substandard housing issues before you even get to making something more resilient. One of the things that we've done is on any rehab we do, if we replace a roof, we put metal on. We won't contract for shingles anymore. It adds a little bit to the cost, but that's the last roof that home will ever need. So no matter who's there, whether it's a senior or they pass it on to someone else, it's not going to need another roof. And given the cost of affordable housing in Florida, the more we can do like that, the better. So, we've all got local governments that have this new coronavirus local relief act funds. Some local governments are being very progressive and putting money into home repair programs. Others are not. And until they hear from everybody in the community, it doesn't really seem to matter sometimes. A lot of local governments seem to look at this as it's taking care of some unmet needs that they've had, as opposed to let's really try and stabilize our workforce. St. Johns County is a good example of, we're the fastest growing county in the state. We're probably one of the wealthiest counties in the state. And the backbone of our economy is still the tourist industry, where most of their employees can't afford to live here. So a lot of this Relief Act funds could be used for all sorts of things that would benefit and work in partnership. I think the big challenge still ends up being, to a large degree, everybody works in their own silos, including, hospitals. If you can reduce someone's trip to the ER by giving them a grab bar or anything else, they're not going to help you install grab bars. They're just going to be grateful that Mrs. Jones didn't break a hip slipping in the shower. But that's where I think you start to find real leverage, is you get people to the point that they start saying, so how do we put these different silos together? The housing partnership tries to, because we've contracted for some of those. We also get written up by monitors because we don't pay attention to the priorities for each one of the funding programs. If I go work on a low-income person's home, I want to pour all the money I can find at that point into fixing the house up properly, not kind of go, well, I'll put $500 here and $1,000 there. We'll do emergency repairs for just, like everybody else has said, someone needs hot water now. They don't need to wait for a rehab program. You need to get them hot water. I'm very concerned about getting hot water to seniors. If you're someone if you're 35 or 40 and you don't have a hot water heater, life is not fun. But I've just got to prioritize, the people who I think are at greater risk. So that's what the Housing Partnership does. That's our information. You can find us on Facebook, or you can give us a call. That's my cell phone number there.
Bill, thank you. We've got 3 questions for you in the chat box. Let me go back. Do you work with NFCAA? Elizabeth is asking.
NEFCA. NEFCA runs the weatherization program in Duval and 6 other counties. We run the weatherization program in St. John's and Clay. So we work in tandem, but we generally, and I don't spend much time working in Duval. I kind of work in the other surrounding counties around us. So we work in tandem, but we don't work together on projects. We're both peers in the weatherization network.
Next question. Do you have a wait list for your rentals? Sherry is asking.
Yeah. I mean, last time we had a vacancy in 2 days, we had 80 applications. I don't keep a waiting list. There's not much point in it, really. We rent for $100 to $200 below what HUD allows us to charge for rent, simply because it's what the workforce here can afford. Most folks who get in with us don't leave. We're constantly trying to buy or build more rental property, simply because there's such a demand. And it, in part, I keep hoping that if we stabilize some of our tenants and they are able to pay down their debt, manage their money a little bit better, we'll be able to build them a home and turn them into a home buyer at some point in the future.
And then a question from Carrie. Are you familiar with co-housing as a new idea for affordable housing?
I mean, I've read all the articles about it. It's just like everything else. The question is, do you build it and hope you can find people to staff it? Or do you want to put people together first and say, are they looking to rent? Or are they looking to buy? And then what works? As a contractor, I can build anything, but I just have to have customers that want to fit together. I stay away from building townhomes simply because most low-income folks that I run into have a really hard time dealing with the shared expenses. So that's the only part of the shared housing that I haven't really sort of vetted a whole lot, is when you put people together, you've got to have some kind of common agreement on how they're going to manage the housing expenses. If they're renters, it's not that big a deal. We tried one time with a mobile home that we had. It was a 4-bedroom. We thought about doing kind of like a Golden Girls, putting 4 seniors in there. We couldn't find 4 people that wanted to move in together, so it just became a little bit more of a challenge than we had thought. And we're building a 1-bedroom apartment complex. And I'm learning very quickly why nobody builds 1-bedrooms, because they don't pay for themselves, but there's a huge need for it.
And Bill, just one more minute, somebody squeeze in one more question. So if someone wanted to know more about the kinds of repairs that they could tap into, that St. John's Housing Partnership could help them with, do they go to that website that you have listed on
Just
this?
call us. I mean, there's not anything we won't do. The bigger challenge is more, how much work do you need? Can we cobble together enough money to do it? And just like any emergency repair, we're trying to assess, is it a crisis and we need to get out to it now? Or is it something that we've got a couple hundred people on our waiting list? That's always been the case. I mean, when I started in Duval County, the Mayor's Commission on Housing said there were 10,000 homes with substandard housing conditions. So that's always been there. We never see enough funding to address our housing challenges. We just try and triage it as best we can.
All right, Bill, awesome information and for everybody. We so appreciate everything that you're doing, and for our other couple of speakers too. Thank you all. Round of applause for Bill, if you'll join me there. And Bill, if you have anything that you want to send me today or Monday, we'll include it in that post-meeting email. If you've got a flyer or contact information or anything that you would like to be,
You want me to send you this PowerPoint as a PDF? It's got all our info on it.
Would love it. If you're willing to do that, we will definitely include that and get that out to folks. And then Bill, I'll let you tackle the question in the chat box from Elizabeth, and I'm going to move on as we close this up. And Bill, if it's okay, I'm going to knock you off of the share screen. So here we go. Okay. All right. Really just unbelievably impressive, the work that folks are doing out there. And if you had a senior or someone who qualifies for any of these things, just what a relief to know that there's folks out there. And hear Bill say, as we wrapped up his part right here, it's like, we'll try to help in any way we can, just call us, let's see what we can do. And we heard that same thing from the other two also. It's just really something to know people are out there and they care, and they're going to do everything they can, to make it better for folks. I want to give huge kudos to the advisory committee volunteers. If you are in this meeting today, if you will please give us a wave. Give us a wave. I know several of them are here today with us, and they do the planning behind the scenes. We've got a variety of topics that people have either suggested or been brought to the Senior Roundtable Advisory Committee. They say, you know what, this one makes sense for us to do next. Gosh, who do we know that would be really good speakers, and who's in this field that could come and tell others about it? So a huge thank you to everybody that's on this list. Could not do it without you, without a doubt. And then moving on to our Wheel of Fortune. So let me just talk here for just a second, and then I'll stop sharing, and then we're going to move over to the Wheel of Names. So thank you to the meeting sponsor. We're going to pick 2 people from the Wheel of Names to win the Amazon gift cards. Those will be emailed to those folks. I'll connect whoever the winners are with Michelle, and as you said, she'll get them out as quickly as she can, possibly even today. Join the Senior Roundtable group if you have not, if you want to try to find folks that you meet in these meetings. And we eventually hope to have meeting announcements for you for 2023. We're not quite there yet for that, but we'll keep you posted once anything happens and moving forward with the next year. So I'm going to stop sharing. Sarah is going to share the Wheel of Names. You do have to be here. So if she announces a name and I don't see that person, somebody unmute yourself and say, yes, they're here. Or if you're that person, unmute yourself. So you're there. So here we go. And Latanya, am I saying it correctly? And I know I saw Latanya. So Latanya, are you here? Give us a wave. I know I saw her. I'm trying to look. Latanya, gotcha. Thank you very much. All right, our next one. Joanne, is Joanne still here? Yes, I seeing the dance in front of the Golden Gate Bridge. It doesn't get any better than that. That's awesome. So we are wrapping up. I hope everybody has wonderful holidays, whatever those special holidays are for you. And we will run into each other at some point via Zoom or in person, hopefully in 2023. Thank you again to our speakers and our meeting sponsor. Thank you everybody for coming and joining us today, and we will see you again in the future. Goodbye, everybody.